Hi guys, it's Angela at Panda Kisses, and today we're going to be making Parker on the Porch's new clutch bag, and it looks like this. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm making the 5x7 size, so I have a 5x7 piece of tearaway right here on my 5x7 hoop. So our first step is to go ahead and put the placement step on your tearaway. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 1. I will come back and show you what it looks like. Now we're going to go ahead and put the zipper. These 3 lines right here are there for your zipper placement. This middle line right here is where your zipper teeth should line up. I normally just line up my bottom part of my zipper to make sure that it's all even and straight like this. And the only thing you really need to choose is what side you want your bag to open from. If you want it to open from this side, make sure to do your zipper pull over here. If you want it the other side, make sure to do your zipper pull this way. So that's all you really have to look for. And then you can tape it if you like. I just line it up here between these stitch lines right there. Like that. Make sure these are on the outside. Okay, and when you have it all lined up, then you go ahead, you can tape it if you want. I just hold it as the machine goes along. I go ahead and stitch the next step, which is step 2, and it's going to go ahead and tack down that zipper. This is what it looks like. Our zipper is tacked down. Now, what you're going to do next is measure fabric, and I'm going to be using cotton fabric, so I'm going to show you how to prep that fabric. You're going to need 6 pieces of fabric. You're going to need 3 for the outside of your bag, and you're going to need 3 for the inside liner of your bag. You're also going to need 2 little pieces right here for your detail, but for your overall construction of the bag, you need 6. So I'm going to show you how to do that. First you're going to be placing this bottom from the zipper down. So you need a piece that's big enough to go over these placement stitches. And I usually do is just take a ruler and measure from here to here and measure from here to here. And then I double it. I do a true double. You do not have to, but let me show you why I do a true double. So I'm going to move this to the side. Here's my fabric. I go ahead and I measure that out and I double it, because I fold mine completely in half. One, it makes your bag a little thicker, so it's not so flimsy by having a true double, but you do need this clean edge. When you are using woven fabric, you need a clean edge because it all frays. You see the fraying on the side? You can't just put the edge of the fabric up next to the zipper because it's gonna all fray. So you can do that with vinyl, but not with woven fabric. So I went ahead and did a true double here. I'm going to go ahead and iron it. I'm just going to iron it on the half just to get it clean. Now I also use interfacing. So it is fusible interfacing. It is right here. I already cut it. So it has kind of like a crunchy side on this side, like little balls, and this side's smooth. You want to take the side that's not smooth, like that's kind of scratchy, that's the little glue dots, and you want to put it facing down on the wrong side of your fabric. This is the right side of your fabric. And I only do it on half of the fold so you're not doubling it, because if you did it on this whole thing, you'd be doubling it. And it just depends on how thick you want your bag. These bags really only need it on half. So I'm going to go ahead and iron this on. And like I said, it's lightweight fusible interfacing. So now it is on. That's all you have to do. And now it's on your fabric, and your fabric is just a little thicker and a little more stable when you make these bags, okay? So the other way that you could do this, if you do not, some people don't like to use a full half on this because then they waste some of their pretty fabric. You can just take the top and iron it down like this to get your edge, and then you don't have to use as much fabric. Just know you can do that. It's just a personal preference. I prefer to just fold it in half. So there's that piece. So that's for the bottom right here, and that's the outside of your bag. Then next you're going to be placing this top portion. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to measure from your zipper up to the top, side to side, and get that piece of fabric. So I'm going to do the same color fabric up there. So it's right here, so I already cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and fold that in half and iron it to get your clean edge. I'm going to put my interfacing in here. Rough side down right here on the bottom. I'm going to iron it. close it and re-iron it to get a really clean edge. Okay, so now we have those two pieces done. The last outside piece of your bag is the back of your bag. It's going to be the full length of your bag, so you're going to need to measure from the bottom all the way to the top and side to side. You need a piece big enough for that. You do not need a clean edge for the back of your bag because it doesn't line up next to anything. Your bag will be flipped, so the seams will be, the rough seams will be on the inside. So you just need a piece big enough to go over all those placement stitches. And then since this does not fold, you're not doubling by putting a whole sheet on. So here's my interfacing. Okay. So that's the outside of your bag. Now you do the exact same thing with the liner. The only thing I skip with the liner, they're the same sizes and everything. The only thing I skip with the liner is I don't do interfacing. I don't think you need interfacing in the liner and the outside of your bag. So you're just gonna go ahead and get your measurements. You're gonna get your edges. Okay, so there's that one. That was the bottom of your bag liner. This is the top of your bag liner. Just get it all nice and pretty. And then here's the back of your bag liner. So you have 3 liner pieces and you have 3 front of your bag pieces. So we are all set with fabric here. Now we are making this bag. I've already made one. This one's smaller. We're making the 5x7. If you notice, I put a different color up here in the bag I'm making. Now I'm doing this and this, the butterflies, and then I'm doing the liner. See the back? I'm doing the liner, was polka dots on here. I'm doing the liner with this other polka dot, but you are gonna need, sorry, there's a big airplane. You are gonna need these 2 detail pieces, whatever you want for this. So make sure you cut out it's not big pieces, but when we get to that step, you'll be able to see what size to make, but you will need fabric for these 2 pieces as well. But this is what we were making, just in a bigger size. Super cute. So I will meet you back over at my machine since now we have all of our fabric prepped. We're ready to stitch. We're back on the machine and we are on step 3. So you need to take your front bottom fabric that we folded in half and prepped, and you want to put your clean edge up next to your zipper. You want to make sure your fabric is over all of your placement stitches everywhere, and you just want to place it along this zipper. I place it all the way up to the zipper. You just have to make sure you are above this stitch line right here because this is the tack down for the next step. So I always just kind of push it all the way up just so I'm straight and I'm not all wonky, but make sure your fabric's there all the way up, and then go ahead and stitch step 3. It's going to go ahead and tack that down to the stabilizer. Okay, this is what it looks like. It went ahead and tacked it down. Now we're going to tack down the top front of your bag right here. So whatever fabric you chose for that, I have this one. Take your clean edge, put it up next to the zipper, above the zipper, like that. And then go ahead and stitch step 4. It's going to go ahead and do the same thing the last step did. It's going to tack it down to your stabilizer. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Steps that make up these corners. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to do that now, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. We're just going to tack down the placement put down the placement right now, and then we'll put the fabric over it. So go ahead and run your placement stitches, which is step 5. Did the placement. I'm gonna pull this out so you can see the other side. There, it did both placements. So you're gonna take fabric that's bigger than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this here like this. So make sure it covers all of it. And then I'm gonna take another piece and place it here. Now we're gonna run the next step, which is step 6, and it's gonna go ahead and tack this fabric down. And then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. This is what it looks like. We're going to go ahead and take applique scissors. They're just rounded. And we're going to go ahead and cut along the edge here. You don't have to cut where it goes off of the bag because that's going to get turned into the bag. But you do need to cut this curve right here because we're going to be putting satin stitches here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut there. And cut right there. Okay, so you just want to get as close as you can so the satin stitches cover up your edge. There you go. So they are there. We're going to go ahead and go back to the machine, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. The next step is to go ahead and do this little line detail that ends up being under your stitch. I'm going to show you it's stitched on this bag. I already made it. So that's what it looks like. If you don't want that and you just want the satin stitches, you're certainly able to skip. So the way that you would go ahead and do that is you should have this plus and minus spools, and if I go ahead and hit plus, that skips my step, and so I could just do the satin if I don't want the lines underneath. But I'm going to go ahead and do the lines underneath, and you can go ahead and switch your color. I'm just going to keep it this cream. I'm going to have it cream on there, and I'm going to run it, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So the next step is to go ahead and run a satin stitch that's going to go along there. I'm going to keep mine cream, and I'm going to go ahead and run it so then it will look similar to this right here. I wanted to show you something else. Like if you know how to move back and forth between your machine steps here, I'm going to close this. Normally it probably looks like this. You have a plus and a minus needle on your machine somewhere. If you click that, it lets you get into your settings on your stitches. So the needle plus and minus lets you go forward and backwards this many stitches within a step. Now this thread spool right here, that lets you jump stitches all together, or steps all together, sorry, not stitches. So if I press that, then I go to the next step. I can skip steps, I can go back steps, I can repeat steps, I can do a lot of different things on a design. For example, like if you did not want these corners, say you wanted this bag just the shape of the bag without these corners on there, you could have skipped those steps and just made the bag without the corners. So you do have that option. The other thing I wanted to show you is this blanket stitch actually looks cute on the top. This is it underneath the satin stitch right there. But on this little bag, I ran it a second time, and you can see that it looks cute on top as well. Okay guys, this is what it looks like right here. You can see it did the satin stitches. It looks great. So what we're going to do next is put the liner on our bag, our first piece of liner. So we are going to flip our bag upside down, our hoop upside down. This is the back side of your hoop. And what stitches first is this bottom half of your liner. So I'm going to get our liner fabric, which we went ahead and prepared. And what you're going to do is just place it right next to the zipper line, just like that, and then you're going to tape either side. Now if you can't tell where your zipper line is, a lot of things, because there's lots of lines here now that we've been stitching different things, you can see there's several lines. What you can do is you can open your zipper. I just open it up a little bit like this, and if you pull your zipper back, you can see there's a line right here. This is the line you want to line up to. So if you draw in a pin, just draw on there like that, re-zipper it, flip your hoop, you can now see where you want to line it up to. So just so you're certain, so you don't mess up your fabric. So I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to line it up to this line right here. See, that's where I drew. So right there is your zipper line. Right underneath it, you're going to place your liner fabric. I'm just taking Scotch tape, just regular old Scotch tape. You just want to make sure that you have it taped down good enough that it doesn't like get folded over and get into your stitches, because that happens. It has happened to me several times. So just tape it really good so it stays. Okay. And then now we're going to go over to the machine, and we're going to go ahead and run the next step. The next step's just basically going to go around the same placement stitch right here, and it's going to tack the liner to the front of your bag. So I'll meet you over at the machine and I'll show you what we're doing. Back on our machine, I always kind of look underneath my hoop like this to make sure that none of my fabric got moved when I put it on to my hoop, and mine looks okay. Make sure all your edges are still down and right. And then go ahead and stitch the next step, which is step 9. It's just going to go ahead and tack that fabric in. There's the front. If you flip your hoop over, there's your bottom. It's tacked down. It's all nice and pretty. Your clean edge is looking good right next to your zipper line. Now you're going to take your other liner, your top liner, you're going to take your clean edge, and you're going to place that next to the same line but above it, right above it. and you're going to tape that down. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the machine and we're going to run the next step, and the next step is just going to go ahead and tack this top piece. It's going to run that same placement stitch line that it did up here, and it's going to tack that liner to the front of your bag. To go, I made sure my fabric didn't get messed up when I put it on my hoop. I'm going to go ahead and run step 10 right there. You can see that it's going to do that. I will be right back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, this is where we're at. Here's the front. Here's the back of our hoop. They're both tacked down, so that's great. Now, the next step is to go ahead and put the back of your bag onto the front of your bag. And when you do that, anytime you put the front of your back of the bag onto the front of your bag, it seals your bag completely. So you have to open your zipper. And this is also, before you do this step, this is where you do anything else you want done to your bag. And let me show you. So first I'm going to open my zipper to make sure we don't forget to do that. If you don't open your zipper, then you can't flip your bag and your bag's just ruined. So you want to open it far enough over that you can flip through your bag, but not too far that your foot can still get by right here, because your foot's going to enclose around this placement stitch all the way around. So your foot of your machine still needs to get by this. So this is probably good. Now, if you added any other details, like you wanted somebody's name here or something and you programmed it with your software or whatever, this is when you would run it. You would move it up to this step. You want to do it now. Also, a lot of people add these little lobster clasps to their zipper bags, and then they use fold over elastic or ribbon or whatever they use. This is how you would do it. I'm not adding this to my bag, this one, but I wanted to show you this is when you do it and this is how you do it. So you have this outline placement stitch all the way around your bag. Wherever you line things up around here, it will stitch into your bag. So if you wanted it right here along your zipper, you would place it on the inside. Anything you want to keep on your bag, you make sure is on the inside. When you flip your bag, it will be on the outside like this, but it's going to stitch along this line right here. So you're going to line it up that way. So if you wanted that, I normally put it like this and then I'll tape it. I'm not going to put this. I'm going to make the wristlet after this. So I'm going to actually attach one of these rings. So I'm going to take this ring, and then I am going to place it over here. I actually want it on this side. So the way I'm going to do it, I want to keep the ring, so I need to place it on the inside. I'm going to place it like right here. So I have it lined up, and I don't want, you can make this longer. If you wanted lots of this fold over elastic, you would just have more of it sticking in. I want it to be pretty short. So I'm going to do like right about there. I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to tape on the outside like this. And I'm just going to leave it just like that. So when my machine stitches, it's going to stitch over this outside placement line, tacking this in. Okay, so that's all I'm doing to my bag, this bag. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the back of my bag, which is this piece, and I'm going to place it right sides together. So this is the right side. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the right side down. And I'm just going to make sure that it's getting over all of my placement lines, and it is. And now we're going to go back to the machine and I'm going to show you how we stitch next. I'm going to stitch step 11, which is going to enclose this bag. Make sure your zipper is open. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, we went ahead and enclosed our bag. This is what it looks like. So now we want to flip our hoop to the back side of our hoop, and now we're going to do our last piece of lining. So we're going to take our liner and we're going to do right sides together. This is the right side, this is the right side. We're going to place them together. You're going to make sure to leave a little bit of fabric down here because there'll be a hole right here. This is how we're going to flip our bag first. You want to leave enough fabric so we can close our bag later. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. You just want to make sure you have it taped good enough that it's not going to get pulled up. Okay, this is our last stitch step, so we're almost done. Okay, I have all of it taped down. So I'm going to go back to the machine. I'm going to run the very last stitch step, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Hey guys, here's our bag. There's the front of our hoop and what it looks like. Here's the back of our hoop and what it looks like. You can see that it's stitched. It left an opening over here at the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and take this off our hoop because we are done stitching. I'm going to pull everything off my hoop. Set that aside and then take your stabilizer off. Excuse me. Now I'm going to take scissors, really good scissors, and I'm going to cut around this bag. But what I watch for, your opening right here, I cut to an angle like this, up to those stitches. And then I turn, and you just want to cut all the way around through your excess zipper and everything. Just don't cut your stitch line. And cut all the way across here. Okay, and when you come back to the end of these stitches, I cut to the end and then I turn out and cut that way. And then I'm going to cut across because you don't need quite this much to close your bag. And then also all you need is your 2 pieces of liner. So here's your hole right here. You need that piece and you need this piece. But the rest of this stuff is just excess. You can cut it. Just don't cut your stitch line. You can get closed without cutting your stitch line just to get that extra bulk out of there. Now you're going to flip your bag. So be kind of careful because this is cotton and it will tear. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. So you just go ahead and push through. This is a fairly big size bag, so it's not too difficult if you're using all cotton fabric. If this is vinyl, it's a little harder to push through, but you can do it. Let me just get it all the way through. Okay, so you went through the hole. And you don't have to get it perfect because we have to flip again through the zipper, but you want to get it good enough so you can close this hole real quick. And I'm going to show you how I close the hole. There's different ways of doing this. I actually use a glue. Let me get I use this. You can use a chopstick. I use this a lot to help with my corners. Be kind of careful because this is woven fabric, so you could go right through it. I'm just trying to get my corners a little bit better. Okay, so here's your hole right here. You can sew it. You can do other things. I fold these over. This is why I leave the extra fabric. I fold it over. Sorry. And then I use this fabric tack glue. I just go ahead and glue right here. I fold it and I clip it. Okay, sorry, I need to go get a cough drop. Sorry about that. So I line it up right here. I do that extra fabric so I can fold it in. And then I kind of line it up and put little clips. And then I use this fabric tack glue. It's a clear glue and it dries really fast. So I just go ahead and put a little bit on here. And then I just make sure it's all sandwiched. And then I just take this clip. If you have any excess glue coming out, like you can see right there, I just take like my excess fabric and wipe it. And then I push it back down. And I put a clip there. And then I just go ahead and move on to the next part. Put some glue in there. Go ahead and fold it. Move it over. And do the last little part, and then I let it sit between like 3 and 5 minutes. It really doesn't take that long to sit. That's another reason why I like it. So I just let it sit like this for 3 to 5 minutes, and then I will come back. In the meantime, while it's sitting, I go ahead and open my zipper. So if you pull these 2 sides, this is where you opened your zipper. And then I'll take all this, clean up all the stabilizer. Take all the stabilizer and your placement stitch. There's a placement tack down stitch right here. Just go ahead and pull all that out, and then I'll come back and show you what we do next. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and take the clips off. It's definitely done. You can see that it's all sealed. There's no hole. And this is the bottom of the inside of your bag because that's your liner. So I went ahead and pulled all the stabilizer off of where my zipper was. And now we're just gonna flip the bag through your zipper hole. So I'm just gonna flip it. Okay. I'm gonna use this to get my corners really good. Oops. Okay, now you can go iron this if you want it to look really crisp, or let me move it this way. You can see that I have my little clip on here. It can hang. There's the back of the bag. Here's the front of the bag. You open the zipper. There's the inside, so it's completely lined and you don't see any of your seams, and your hole is way down there and it's closed. So there's your enclosed zipper bag. It's super cute. Let me know if you have any questions, but that's all you do to make this.